Okay. That's processing. Oh man, how long is this going to take? Let me see. This should take. Publish this video as soon as it's done processing. Oh man. I wonder who I can talk to.
About what?
Because like when you don't encode a video, it takes much longer to upload.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encode a couple of videos, and then afterwards it just stopped working altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So if I try to encode a video, it takes forever. So I'm gonna see if I can talk my brother to do after school and get some assistance on that. It's currently processing. It's at 0%, so it's gonna take maybe about an hour or so to process. This video was from last night, so. And since we're going to be taking care of one lecture activity, I don't know. I feel like this lecture activity won't take forever. Well,
No, it should be super easy.
it should be pretty quick. We're not going to be, yeah. My question is, though, I have to start over, because by now this should have already been, I'll give this probably 5 to 7 minutes. I'll just give this 5 to 7 minutes. Just pull this over here. Yeah. I also have to update a lot of my, quite a few things I have to update. Like, I've been ignoring the updates for, like, the things within the MacBook. I don't know if, and the reason why I've been ignoring them is because they take long.
Yeah.
So tonight, I'm going to take care of that.
I usually just wait until like the end of like when I'm done doing stuff I really need to, and I don't have anything else that I really want to do.
I'm gonna work on the blender today. Hopefully complete that. Complete the pots and pans.
I just have to do my knobs.
And yeah, and then I think that's all I have to do too is make the handles as well as the bolts. And okay, I think he's gonna start talking now. Well, he's gonna shut off the light, then he's gonna start talking. Yeah. Oh,
I had to ask because I didn't want to be disrespectful and just like leave the room while he's talking.
Okay, here we go. 49 minutes. That's not bad. 49 minutes and it's already processing. I think it's better. Having the lights completely shut off is just nicer hearing them. Yeah.
Do you think is there a way that I could record like visually, like seeing what is in the room as he's doing it?
I don't know. That's a pretty good question. Unless, how much space is on your phone?
My phone a lot.
I mean, if you want to record it with your phone, you can just open the camera and just kind of lean your phone on like the back of the MacBook. Yeah.
Just like.
Record. Yeah. If you need like something.
Ingenuity.
Excellent. Wait, I actually have a question. What type of phone do you have? What was that?
The iPhone 7.
iPhone 7?
Yeah, it doesn't have a port for headphones, so you have to have like a little adapter.
Oh wow, that's stupid.
It's because my other phone crapped out, like the screen just wouldn't turn on.
Yeah, didn't you tell me about that? You said, yeah, I think it was like a few months back. You were like, yeah, I have
like
to get
in
your
class,
phone.
I'm using it, and all of a sudden it like killed itself. But like I was still getting notifications.
I remember that. It's like, oh, my phone just decided to commit suicide. Oh man, I felt bad. Yeah. I had to get like some type of wipe for my screen. There's like lots of smudges in the screen.
Windex works pretty well.
Yeah.
That's what I've been using, but I have to get like a microfiber thing for it.
Yeah. I had some screen wipes, but then I ran out.
You know, I'm gonna wait until it starts talking. It's letting it record.
Now listen up for attendance, please. Austin.
Okay, Ben.
Summer.
Here.
Jonathan. Here. Brittany. Here. Justin. Here. Carlene. Here. Kevin. Here. Alec. Here. Amelia. Here. Lee. Dane. Lindsay.
That's an
Damien.
actual whale.
Cameron. Kenzie.
You know, it's funny.
Justin.
I was thinking,
Sierras.
I saw something like, what if my name is
Alexander.
Whale? It's like, what? Oh, man. I thought I was
Brendan. CJ. Houston. Terrell. Cassidy.
Look what
Victor.
I found out here.
Oh god.
Yunjae.
I can't believe he fell
Ani.
asleep towards the end.
Yeah.
Jingrong.
Yeah.
Caesar.
Like he's been working
James.
from like 3 in the morning.
Mater. Leslie. Reese. Julius. Aubrey. Alexis. Miranda. Fedora. Louis.
Here.
Caden. Amanda. Brandon. Raphael. Moises. Ariel. Paige.
I think.
Cassandra. Sterling. Gabrielle. Michael. Michaela. Lux. Huron.
I think it's better that you just kind of call this out instead of having this just form a long line. Just have to
Oh
sign
my
it.
Have a good Sunday.
It's okay.
It's a good Sunday.
Wait, do we have school tomorrow?
No, we have school Tuesday and Thursday, and then that's it.
That's what I thought.
Alright,
And
so
Wednesday
today we are
everything's
going to
due.
start diving into ZBrush.
Wednesday,
So if you would like to download Electric Activity 14 Oil Drum Project, just to make sure you are kind of ready to get going when we kind of get that far.
I'm gonna go
Before
to,
we actually get started, though, let's talk
uh,
about why ZBrush. Why do we care about ZBrush?
It adds like little details like dents and such
Yeah, you go ahead.
into the final model of it.
Awesome. Yeah, we can increase our complexity through high fidelity detail, scratches, dents, stitches, small stuff that might be a pain to do in Maya. Any other reasons? I might lean on ZBrush. They're really worth an extra $850 just to get some dents. Depending on what you mean by textures, you can do both color textures, diffuse, or like material qualities, like fabric, like denim has a texture, right? A feel to it. That all kind of leans on that high fidelity detail, right? Really small details that would be a huge pain in the butt to get in Maya. ZBrush kind of makes its bread and butter. You can see here, this is some content from ZBrush. This is actually a number of years old now. Let's open this up in a new tab, you can kind of see it a little bit bigger. So there's a lot of organic qualities here. How challenging would it be to get this in Maya? It's pretty tricky. You know, not impossible. You could definitely spend a lot of time pushing and pulling verbs to get this stuff to fall in line. But ZBrush really excels at 3 things over Maya. The first is the number of polygons that you can deal with at any given time. So when ZBrush came on the scene a number of years back, I suppose it was a lot of years back now, they really kind of redefined the way they deal with polygons on screen. So instead of dealing with 100 or 1,000 or 100,000 polygons, all of a sudden you can start pushing and pulling millions of polygons. Right? So instead of just dealing with 100,000 verts, now you can deal with 1 million. If you have a really good machine, you can go up to 1 billion. Obviously, with that many verts on screen, you get a lot smaller details. Right? That's where you can start to get your stitches and your fabric quality, all that kind of fun stuff. So that's one way. Another thing that it did is it approached modeling in a completely different way. So in Maya, once again, as I'm sure you're all familiar, you're very concerned about the vert level, right? You're grabbing an edge, you're moving it, you're moving a vert around, you're extruding by face. ZBrush is a lot more kind of painterly in its approach. It's called digital sculpting for a reason. Now we're not so much worried about your individual verts. We're worried more about the surface quality, how it flows through 3D space. We're not going to go into vertex mode and grab a vert and move it around, but we take brushes to manipulate that surface. So that's how we get that more organic quality to kind of fall in line. Let's just kind of zoom into some of these close ones. You can see here, when we're not so concerned about the vert level, we're pushing millions of vertexes around. We can do things like getting our core detail, right? Our wrinkle detail. And you definitely could get that in Maya. Go, cut an edge loop in, push it, maybe do a diamond junction to get that crease, shuffle it around. You know, each wrinkle in that case is going to probably take you 10, 20 minutes, an hour. right? There's going to be some time involved. Not to mention Maya is going to laugh at you if you go, let's take this mesh and make it 1,000,000 verts. Right? Maya's going to be like, no, no way, forget this, go somewhere else. And then when we're in the context of more what we do here in MCR, you can see the shoelace has that fabric quality to it. We get the wrinkles in the leather. We get the stitching laid down. There are some pathways now in the later versions of Maya for doing things like stitching a little bit easier, but ZBrush really kind of pioneered these techniques. So this is kind of what we can do with ZBrush, why we care about it. It's definitely industry standard for a reason. So we can get that high fidelity detail. Take our meshes, push them to that next level. What's up?
Isn't there a problem with having that many polys in a situation for a render speed?
So it depends on where you're going. So if you were doing, say, a single asset and you're like 1,000,000 polygons and render it, most renders are going to take a while. But we do some efficiencies here where we actually build up the detail at that 1,000,000, 2,000,000, 5,000,000, whatever polygon count, and then we can actually take that detail, capture it, and put it on a lower resolution mesh, which is the pathway that we're going to be taking in MCR. So that way, like, whenever you see like really nice looking, let's say assets in a video game, where you're like, there's no way all that is modeled in there. That's the trickery that we're going to be doing in here. We're going to find a way to capture this high res detail, put it on something a little bit more manageable, like that pillar that we looked at for the UVs. It had all those like the circle and the figure kind of carved in, but in shaded view it wasn't there. That's what we're doing. We're going to be tricking the camera to make it look like we got a lot of detail, and then applying it to something a little bit low res to speed up render time, make it a little bit faster. Kind of get that to fall in line. All right. Is everybody able to get ZBrush installed, activated? Yeah, I know there's a couple people who haven't yet. If you're still having trouble with it, there's the activity, install activity 3, install ZBrush and update Maya, right? So if you're having trouble finding your code, look for an email with the subject of that. If you still can't find it, you have to call SSO support. I don't have any access to these codes, so you have to contact them and then just go down the rabbit hole and kind of figure that out. But that's kind of on them. That being said, if you don't have ZBrush installed just yet, take good notes. Right? We got to keep pushing forward anyway. Just make sure you take good notes, and then once you get it, you can always come and meet with me to kind of make sure we get this squared away. All right, so let's jump into Maya. We got our oil drum. Right? This is an oil drum project. We're going to be working with this drum. Now, before we can go into ZBrush, there's a few things we've got to keep in mind. ZBrush is a very particular workflow, and we want to make sure that we can actually capture the detail that we're looking to get. We need to model with certain aspects in mind to make sure that we can actually get this. We don't want to go through the whole sculpting process and find out there's something getting in our way. We can't capture the detail. So the first thing we want to do is we want to try to make all of our polygons as square as possible. Now, obviously, in some cases, that's not going to be something you can do, right? Obviously, we need, on the ridges, the detail smaller, the polygons got to be smaller to kind of fit that shape. But anywhere that you can, you want to try to keep things square. So in the case of this oil drum, we have a square in these areas up here, but then we have these large rectangles. So I'm just going to take my multi-cut and drop an edge in there, just kind of square those out. And anytime you're modeling for ZBrush, you want to try to keep anything in the open areas be nice and square and even. Even if there's no detail there, and like typically for my workflow, you'd be like, oh, no detail, no extra polygons. For the ZBrush workflow, we need some polygons there. Otherwise, you're going to get all of your subdivisions kind of tied up in the small details and have nothing in the larger areas to actually sculpt with. Go on, Louis.
Oh, she just had a question.
Where did you put the multi-cut?
I did multi-cuts right here and right here. Okay. So I just took those rectangular polygons on the main body and made them square-like. The next thing we want to keep in mind is how ZBrush approaches subdivisions. Now, when we're working, even though we're not concerned about the polygon or the component level in ZBrush, there's still components there, right? They still matter. How they're laid out is still going to matter. That's why we want those squares. And one thing we're going to want to avoid, anytime that you have a pole, you'll want to avoid areas like this, where you have a bunch of edges coming down to a single vert. And I'm going to show you in Maya why this is going to be problematic. So I'm just going to smooth this mesh. We'll smooth it a couple of times. Smoothing in Maya is very similar to subdividing in ZBrush. We're basically taking this mesh, cranking up the poly count so we actually have some detail to sculpt with. But if you notice with this pole layout, we have these large kind of goofy shaped quads right in the middle. Now, if I wasn't going to sculpt any detail in the middle, it wouldn't matter. But as I subdivide this, you can see that I get a lot of little tiny polygons kind of bound up in the rim, right? The ones over here get smaller and smaller. The goofy shaped ones, still pretty good size, even at 4 subdivisions. So what we're going to want to do instead is actually change the edge flow through this pole to see if we can't get those goofy shaped polygons to be somewhere else, a little bit more manageable. The way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to take the top here and turn it into a nice little grid. You can see I just deleted every other edge around, and then I jumped them straight over. Now we still have these goofy little quads over in the corners, but I'll show you here in a minute why that's not going to be a problem in this case. I'm going to pause here so that way you can get your lids sorted out if you need to. What's up?
Should we be doing it like on the actual drum, or should we separate it?
Yeah, on the actual drum.
I'm just struggling like how did you separate the lid?
How did I separate it?
Yeah.
You mean like actually get the other one over there? Or?
Just like how you got all 3 of those pieces there.
I just took it and duplicated it. You don't need to duplicate it. Just do it on the lid that's on the drum itself. I'm just doing these separate ones for demonstration purposes. Cool. What's up?
Everything to dot.
So mesh object mode and go to display, and then polygon, and then your flash.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and clean up the one that I'm actually going to be bringing into ZBrush as well. Alright, so on this one, that's how we turned it from that pole into a nice little grid. We still have some spacing issues. You can see this is a nice square, and here in the middle, or on the edge there, you know, they're a little bit more rectangular. So what we can do here is I'm actually just going to do shift right click and use average verticing. I'm just going to take those verts, kind of space them out a little bit. You know, nothing too exciting. Just going to even them out. All right. And then just for demonstration purposes, let me just take this one over here. I'm going to smooth it a couple times so that way we can see what happens to those goofy quads, right? So this is why we end up changing this from a pole to a grid. when we subdivide the grid, even though we still have a goofy plot, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and more kind of out of the way. What's up?
Oh, just missed how you did it. If you wouldn't mind redoing it.
Which part?
When you were spacing the verts.
Okay. Just go into vertex mode. Grab the verts, grab just the ones in the middle. Shift right click, average vertices. All right, we're
Wait,
gonna
what?
delete those ones for now. Now, the bottom is a pull as well. If you'd like to fix that, that's fine. I'm going to leave it just so when we get to ZBrush, you can kind of see what this actually does when we go to sculpt on it. So you can see why we go a different route on it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete my history, freeze some transforms, all that kind of fun stuff. Right, maybe save my file. Did some work, I don't want it to crash on me. Alright, so at this point you do have a couple of options. So if I knew this was going to get really complex, I would go ahead and UV it now. There's nothing wrong with UVing it now. But just to kind of get in ZBrush a little bit earlier, I'm going to postpone UVing it until we kind of come back. I'm just going to select my mesh. And I already deleted my history, all that kind of fun stuff, named it if I needed to. Now the trick is, how do we get out of Maya into ZBrush? Right? ZBrush doesn't read Maya files. Maya doesn't read ZBrush files. So we need to use a file format to kind of work as that interim. So I'm going to select my mesh, right? Both parts, the parts that I want to deal with. Go to Export Selection. And here the trick is you're looking for OBJ export. You are going to be exporting an OBJ file or an object file. OBJ is really transferable, so anytime you're trying to move from one program to another, OBJ is usually the go-to. Although there is a format called FBX, it's kind of taking over that space, but OBJ for
Phrase
right now
transformation
at least,
center.
is the go-to. You got that.
I'm just trying to understand. Wait, where'd you go to? Did you go to edit or file?
File, export selection.
Should we have done the bottom part too of the oil?
If you want to. If you want to leave it just to kind of see what it's like when we get in there and sculpt on it, that's fine too. Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to select my mesh, right? Make sure you do any sort of cleanup, admin stuff, right? Delete history, freeze transforms, all that kind of fun stuff. File. And we're looking for export selection. Everybody know why I do export selection instead of export all? Yeah. So I'm sure you've noticed by now when you're working in Maya, right? There's lots of stuff that gets generated, lots of extra garbage that just kind of part of the modeling process creates. Right? Has everybody seen that? Yeah. So export selection lets me know that the only thing coming out of Maya is just the mesh that I'm concerned with. I'm not getting that extra garbage. There's no point in that extra stuff coming along. If I knew my scene was clean, you could do export all, but export selection lets me know I'm only going to get that thing that I'm concerned with. You want to make sure you set it to export, OBJ export. Does everybody have OBJ export option on there?
No.
No? Awesome. All right, so if you don't, one, you do have to make sure you scroll. It's always at the bottom, so scroll the way down the bottom. But if you still don't have it, that just means we have to load the plugin.
There it is.
So, to load the plugin, we go Windows,
It's all the way at the bottom.
Settings and Preferences,
Scroll right there.
Plugin Manager. Right? Anything plugin related, it's going to be in the Plugin Manager. Go ahead and open that. See here a list of all the plugins that are currently loaded, or at least that Maya is aware of. You just scroll through here, find one called objexport.bundle. They are typically in alphabetical order, but sometimes with my updates that does change. You can see right here, objexport.bundle. Check loaded and auto load. Loaded is going to load it for this session of Maya. Auto load is going to ensure that when you open Maya again later, it loads it still. And just hit refresh. file export, and now you should have that option down there, OBJ export. The plugin for? Yeah. All right, so just to go over it again, if you don't have OBJ export as one of your export file type options, it's going to be Windows, Settings and Preferences, Plugin Manager. Find the plugin called OBJ Export.bundle. You can see it's right here. Check loaded and auto load. Hit refresh. And then you should be able to go to File Export Selection and find it. Alright, so we're going to be generating a lot of files today. When we're going from Maya to ZBrush and back again, we're getting lots of files. The files have very similar things in them, but they're not quite the same. So you'll notice I'm going to be using a very specific naming convention. You don't have to use it on yours, but I would highly recommend you develop something here. So you can see we got 1802. I do this every month, so I want to make sure I know which month I'm in. Oil drum because it's an oil drum. Maya because it's the Maya oil drum. And low because it's the low res. Right, this is going to be important because when we go back to ZBrush, we're going to generate two more files. One I'm going to call oil drum ZBrush low and oil drum ZBrush high. So you're going to have three files with an oil drum in it. It's going to be important to know which one's which when I'm going to open them later. Right, let's go ahead and export that.
You can do the process again on how the export
Wait,
earlier the process what you did earlier.
1802 oil drum Maya.
Which step?
Just
The
I should
export,
probably
the
just-
plugin.
the
Preparing them.
export and
Right,
Okay,
so
yeah.
1802
Okay, so I'm just going to select my mesh.
Maya.
To export, go File, Export Selection. And then you want to make sure your files of type is set to OBJ export.
Max.
Now, if you don't have OBJ export, you just have to load the plugin. And even if you do have it, this is important to kind of take note of, since sometimes it may unload for some weird reason, and then you just go and turn it back on again. Turn it back on, you go Windows. What's that?
I don't see like the OG export.
OBJ export.
OBJ.
Okay, so then you just gotta load the plugin. For that, you can go to Windows, Settings and Preferences, Plugin Manager. Load that up, and then in here, you just look for that OBJ export bundle.
Where?
I'm just gonna hang out here for a minute, see if they can get that done.
Isn't there a tool that ZBrush has called GoZ that communicates directly between Maya and it?
You can set that up. It's a little bit more involved than just dealing with file management. But yes, there is GoZ, which is a plugin for Maya that allows you just to kick the mesh back and forth. Depending on your computer, like these ones should be able to do all right with both open at the same time, but it doesn't open both at the same time, so sometimes it gets a little sluggish. That does facilitate that, and a lot of people go back and forth a lot, and they'll end up using that.
Where's the plugin manager again?
It's under the Windows menu. Alright, well they're getting that set up. What's up?
You exported, where does it
So hopefully you have your project, and then it will go into your project. You didn't set your project, it'll go to your My Default project, which will be in your Documents folder. If you can't find it, you can always just go to export it again, and then just, when you open up the export dialog, just look where it's at. You get it? Awesome. Okay, got it loaded? Awesome, awesome. Alright, let's go ahead and close that. Alright, so here's my project. As we just kind of discovered, It exports wherever you tell it to go. You didn't tell it specifically someplace it's going to go into your set project, right? So you always want to set your project so your files end up where you know they're going to be. And here you can see I've got my 3 files I've created so far today. Right, we've got my 1802 oil drum. That's the one that I did my my corrections to, got ready to move with. I've got my OBJ file, right? Oil drum MyOLO. And I got an MTL file. Somebody have any guesses what that MTL file is?
That's the file you plug into ZFlash.
Not quite.
Material data?
Oh, yeah, so the OBJ file is the mesh. That's the object. The MTL is the material. Now, for what we're doing today, I don't care about the material. ZBrush has materials, Maya has materials. I don't need the OBJ format's kind of not quite that good material information. So you can delete it. The MTL files, every time we make a new OBJ, it's going to make one. But it's basically just going to be garbage. We don't need that. We can deal with the materials that we have in Maya and ZBrush. If you don't delete them, it's fine. But when you load it into Maya, it's going to look a little bit different than the default material. All right, let's go ahead and put Maya to sleep and flip over to ZBrush.
Maybe it's Maya.
Has anybody opened ZBrush yet? A couple people?